For almost 30 years, the WNBA has been on a steady climb. But recently, that climb pretty much turned into a rocket launch. It's been fueled by record viewership, some absolutely generational talent, and investment like we've never seen before. And right at the heart of this explosion is a single document, a labor deal so groundbreaking, people are calling it one of the most transformational in the history of sports. So today, we're going to break down how this billion-dollar bet didn't just give players a raise, it totally rewired the league's entire DNA.
To really get this new deal, you have to start with a number that just shocked the world. In 2024, the most talked about college athlete in a generation, Caitlin Clark, was drafted, and her base salary was just over $78,000. Now, we all know she's making millions in endorsements, but that salary itself just sparked this huge public debate. How could the league's biggest star possibly be paid so little?
Well, the reason for that salary was actually pretty simple. It was all dictated by the league's old collective bargaining agreement, or CBA. But here's the thing, that contract, it's gone. The league and its players have replaced these slow, small steps with a massive leap forward, one that completely realigns the partnership between the players and the league they're making so famous.
Okay, so to see where the WNBA is going, we first have to understand let's call it the flawed foundation it was built on. Let's break down that old labor model.
Under the old system, the imbalance was, it was stark. WNBA players received only about 9% of the league's total revenue. Now, just for perspective, NBA players are guaranteed nearly 50% of all league income. This wasn't just a pay gap, it was a chasm, and it was really the source of almost every problem the players faced.
The old model was criticized by the players' union as regressive for a very clear reason. The salary cap only increased by a fixed 3% each year. It didn't matter if viewership doubled or if merchandise sales went through the roof, player pay was stuck on this slow, predictable track. The new model? It changes everything. For the first time ever, player pay is tied directly to league revenue. So as the business grows, salaries grow. It's a really powerful shift from what was basically a fixed allowance to a true partnership.
And this slide really shows the real-world cost of that old model. That financial ceiling forced so many players to go compete overseas in the off-season just to make ends meet, which put this immense strain on their bodies. The most visible symbol of this whole thing was travel. I mean, can you imagine being a 6'4" elite athlete trying to recover between games while you're crammed into a middle seat on a commercial flight? It wasn't just an inconvenience, it was a serious threat to their health, their safety, and their careers.
So the problems were clear, but what gave the players the power to finally demand such a seismic shift? Well, the answer came in the form of a massive influx of cash and attention.
$2.2 billion. That's the number that changed everything. In 2024, the WNBA signed this monumental 11-year media rights deal with Disney, Amazon, and NBC Universal. This contract was the financial engine that made the new CBA possible, just flooding the league with new revenue. Just look at this difference. The old media deal brought in about $60 million per year. The new one starts at an average of $200 million, with room to grow. That is a more than 300% increase, almost overnight. All of a sudden, the entire financial reality of the league had been rewritten, giving the players all the leverage they needed. And it wasn't just TV money, The league itself is growing at this incredible pace, from 12 teams in 2024 to a planned 18 by 2030. Each new franchise adds massive value, with expansion fees reported to be a staggering $250 million. This explosive growth, fueled by new stars and record viewership, put the Players' Union in a really powerful negotiating position. The league was thriving, and it was time for player pay to finally reflect that reality.
So after 17 long months of negotiations, the WNBA and its players reached a landmark agreement. Let's get into what they achieved.
The results are just staggering. The team's salary cap jumps from $1.5 million to $7 million. The Supermax salary for a top player explodes from under $250,000 to $1.4 million, and get this, the new minimum salary is $300,000. That's more than the old maximum was. The average salary is projected to hit nearly $600,000. These aren't just raises, they are complete market corrections, with some salaries increasing by over 400%.
Nneka Ogwumike, who is the president of the Players' Union, framed this deal not as a victory over the league, but as a shared commitment. Her point was simple: when the players win, the league wins. This really captures that philosophical shift from confrontation to collaboration.
recognizing the players as true business partners.
The deal also created new mechanisms like EPIC, which stands for Exceptional Performance on Initial Contract. It basically allows young stars who are just completely outperforming their rookie deals to get a massive raise and fast. The prime example, of course, is Caitlin Clark. Thanks to EPIC, her salary is set to jump from that initial $78,000 to over $530,000 in 2026. It's a system designed to make sure pay quickly matches performance, which prevents that kind of disparity that made headlines in her first year.
But this deal was about far more than just bigger paychecks. It was about fundamentally changing the working conditions and the professional standards for every single athlete in the league. Brittany Griner's words here really highlight a critical point. For years, charter travel was a contentious issue, but after a 2023 incident where Griner was harassed at an airport, the conversation shifted from being about convenience to being about basic safety. As players became household names, flying commercial just wasn't a viable option anymore. This change became an absolutely non-negotiable demand for the player's security.
And the investment goes deeper. The new CBA makes full-time charter travel a permanent league-wide standard. It also mandates guaranteed housing for players, stronger family and maternity support, and expanded team staffs that have to include dedicated nutritionists, trainers, and mental health professionals. It's really about providing the whole infrastructure to support elite athletes.
So when you put all these pieces together, the revenue sharing, the massive salary bumps, and the professional infrastructure, it's just so clear that we are entering a brand new era for the WNBA. So what does all this mean for you, the fan? Well, for starters, you get more basketball, with the season expanding to over 50 games. It's also going to be easier to watch than ever before, with games spread across NBC, Amazon Prime, and ESPN. But maybe most importantly, the on-court product itself is poised to improve. I mean, when players are better paid, better rested, and better supported, the quality of the game just reaches a whole new level.
In this new deal, it isn't the finish line, it's the starting block. By 2032, when this agreement ends, projections show the league generating over $1 billion in annual revenue with 18 teams and a top salary of nearly $2.5 million. This marks a fundamental shift from a league that was proving its viability to one that's capitalizing on its explosive growth.
This leaves us with a final, fascinating question. For decades, emerging leagues have struggled to fairly compensate their athletes while trying to manage financial risk. By creating a true revenue-sharing partnership, tying player pay directly to the success they create, has the WNBA just written the playbook for the future of the entire sports industry?